Hello, my name is Laura Fields. I am a Girl Scout working on my Gold Award. My project includes informing people about my learning disability and some strategies that work. I have a processing speed deficit, or a processing speed disorder. Processing is what the brain does with the information it receives. Speed refers to how fast the brain manipulates the information into a useful form. People with processing speed disorders do not think at the speed of the rest of the world. In processing speed problems, like my case, the brain works a lot slower than another person's brain. For example, just think of a car that can only go 20 miles per hour, but the other cars go 55 or 100 miles per hour. The world moves very fast now, much faster than we can go, but speed and intelligence are not the same thing. Processing affects everything. Students with processing deficits really don't have short-term or working memory. They, in effect, must work without it. They must have strategies to learn without working memory. Just as you had to take a moment to recall a friend's phone number you have not used in a while, we have to take extra time to retrieve information from long-term memory. Only for us, it is for all information, not just information we have not recently used. Assembling words to answer questions or make statements takes much more time than other people. This makes answering questions in class, asking questions, or even conversation very difficult. The person who is listening must understand the needs of the person trying to talk. Writing, either copying or creating, is the slowest of all. Writing requires many levels of processing. Creative writing requires all the processing you can put together. This is slow, painstaking work for people with processing issues. Understanding that shorter writing assignments and extra time is necessary is so important. Processing speed affects every single aspect of our world. This quote by Dr. George Dory is how most people think of students like me. We don't fit into the expectations of people in how we react, especially in the classroom. Many times when I know the material really well, I can answer faster, but I still have to go slow in most instances. The word slow has a whole new meaning for kids with processing issues and the teachers who have them in their classes. LD stands for learning disability. All learning disability students have some processing issues, and processing causes problems in all academic areas. Research tells us that between 7 and 10% of the population has a learning disability. In your classroom of 20, you probably have 1 to 3 children with processing issues. I have had many types of evaluations. Mainly tests are given which are not timed and then are compared with the same tests that are timed. Even though these tests are dependent on the test taker trying to do their best, Real processing issues are not a choice to work slower. Fluency is a type of score that compares activities done untimed and timed. The comparison indicates processing speed. Although I have completed several tests, many intelligence tests and subtests use speed as a governing factor. Any testing involving speed will not give an accurate intelligence scale for people with processing disorders, but may support the presence of a processing speed issue. The most important help that teachers can give help the student be successful learning, and to do that will be very different than what is done for other students. Accommodations may seem to take away the everyday methods of learning that a teacher is using. We learn differently. We will not go faster. We will not learn to go faster. We will never go faster. Please remember, slow is not a choice. When you talk, I cannot process the information as fast as you talk. It is a little like a person who understands Spanish, but is not fluent in Spanish. They go into a classroom that is being taught in Spanish. They will only understand some of the words and will constantly be trying to fit the words into the correct meaning. I am going to hear the important words. At the end of your sentence, I am going to try to decide what you said. Instinctively, I will learn to chunk to help with short-term memory. I will hang on to what I think the most important words and phrases are that you said. I will need time at the end of this sentence to evaluate what I think you said. But if another sentence follows the first very quickly, then I may lose the first sentence and just have to go on. Working memory is very weak and cannot hold ideas for very long. So all verbal information in the classroom is very difficult for me to understand. You can help me by speaking slower, having pauses between sentences, and giving visual clues about what you have said. But even in the best of situations, I will not be able to process all of the information in your classroom. I need other kinds of help. It is especially difficult to ask me a question in class. Distractions break the processing chain, and in our situation, may make us lose all the information so far. Give me lots of time. The next slides list standard modifications that appear on IEPs, and I have given you these in the handout. I want to talk about a few that are the most important. We need dual input. We need to see and hear the same information. If we have dual input, we are more likely to process the information faster. For example, a teacher says, "Get out your books and turn to page 462. We decoded get, book, and page, but not the number. If you will write the number on the board or overhead, then we will complete the processing. I want to learn what you want to teach, but I will never be able to take notes, fill out flipbooks, or copy from the overhead. These things take several layers of processing. In a classroom, I cannot write and listen and understand. If you want me to understand, you must give me the information in a format I can use. Give me the notes, words, definitions, or phrases, and I will learn them another way besides writing them down. People ask me, but what about high school or college? My modifications will go to college with me. My processing disorder makes it impossible for me to take notes. In middle school, high school, and even college, I know you want to help prepare me for the next grade, but processing disorders do not improve with age. My strategies will include receiving notes or having a note taker always. If you are not talking while notes are being taken, tell us to do a strategy such as this one that I use. If you are talking while notes are being taken, tell me to highlight what you say. Teach me a strategy that will work for me. Fill-in-the-blank notes rarely work for the processing disorder students, for the same reason as regular notes. The amount of processing to discern what word goes where is usually too slow, and the student will still be behind. Please remember, if I can't hear you talk, I can't hear the video, CD, or movie that is playing. Here's a trick we had to learn the hard way. Do not ask me if I understood. Students want to fit in. If you ask them if they understand, they will say yes. Ask them to repeat the assignment, instructions, etc. Then you can fix what is broken. Done in a kind of way, this fixes the problem and tells them you understand their dilemma and are just trying to help. Many of these modifications are useful for other learning disabilities. Many of the ideas are good for all students. The most difficult of all modifications for teachers to accept is shortened assignments. I want to learn all of the material. I just can't learn it in the standard way that assignments are established. Shorten the assignment, but give me a way to learn all the material I want to learn. Please remember, slow is not a choice. I can only go so fast. Give me a chance. Strategies are ways for students with disabilities to adapt to the style of your classroom. There is not a lot of material available on processing strategies, so we learned by trial and error. I want to share a few with you, even though these have advanced to high school level work. All of these strategies were in place by third grade and some earlier. Because reading also requires several layers of processing, our number one need became reading to tape. When reading slows to a crawl because of processing speed, we simply do not get as many vocabulary words and we do not cover as many situations in our reading, even though we must read sometimes without sound. We need to read with sound to cover more material faster. Remember, everything is about speed. Recording for the blind and dyslexic was a lifesaver for my mother. We had recorders all over our house. She read about 10 to 15 hours a week before we qualified for this program. Every textbook, including Spanish, and every novel we need had been available from this program. The best part is that their playback equipment has a speed control. I can slow the sound to a speed that I can process. Readings from recordings will always be a part of my life, even in adulthood. I practice recording it myself when I have the time. Recordings provided by textbook companies are read too fast for use by students with learning disabilities. Please remember, if you make your own, you must speak slower than you can even imagine. Flashcards are a tremendous help. Seeing, thinking, and touching. Everything I have needed to learn had to be put in a format that shortens learning time for me. In lower grades, we developed word bank flashcards. They work more like a puzzle until the learning is near complete. When you are more comfortable with the material, you can remove the word bank and use them as regular flashcards. We changed all material necessary for me to learn into card systems. Without this system, I could not learn fast enough. It is very important that I learn all the necessary facts first, before using those facts in critical thinking. If I am weak on facts, I require too much processing to pull together critical thinking concepts. Just as you take extra time to pull out from long-term memory your college ID number, I take extra time pulling out even recent information from long-term memory. The more solid the facts, the easier I reach critical thinking. By the time we reached the 9th grade, we had flashcards everywhere. My mom was making about 300 flashcards a week. We needed something faster and easier to maintain. My mom writes my notes in large letters with lots of white space. Then she places a tab over key words. Now we have flashcards attached to the notes. Sometimes we have a word bank and sometimes not. With the arrival of colored ink pens, each separate thought is in a different color. This also helps me process. As you can see, this works with all sorts of notes, diagrams, and maps. Examples of my spirals are here for you to review. Whiteboards are everywhere in our house. I can do the same amount of work in 1/3 of the amount of time on a whiteboard versus paper. I am able to release part of my processing that makes small perfect letters and use it on my math or science. We even learned how to make our own from backsplash from the lumberyard. To study, I use my spirals and write the word I think is under the tab, and then check it. It gives me independence in studying and a strategy for studying. My purpose today was to let you know that processing speed disorders are very real. They impact every single thing in our lives. We can learn, I did, but we need help. And mostly, we need your understanding. Did you have a student who's not to hear you? Thank you very much.